Very funny.
No.
Yeah, we got
something I wanted to talk, like I know we talked about the JFK thing a bit. This is something like one of the conspiracy rabbit holes, like I keep trying to go down, but I can't find anything good for it. So like Antarctica, what the fuck is going on down there? And why, there are military bases down there. Like lots of countries have military bases down there. And if you show up in Antarctica, they will kill you. They will shoot you in the head. They'll if you just take a boat to Antarctica, get off and start walking around, they will kill you. Like I did not know about this. Yeah. I didn't know about this at all. And I was what the fuck? What's going on?
Is that, first of all, did you get that from a good source? I didn't know that. Is that true?
Yeah, it came to me in a dream.
He's got my vote.
Now I know.
That'd be the worst source I can imagine.
This is like not like I saw some like the conspiratorial part is like, oh, there's something under the ice out there, and there's like an underground civilization or the remains of Atlantis, that kind of thing or whatever. Maybe not Atlantis. Maybe I'm making that up. But like the part that's not really debated is like, yeah, you cannot go to Antarctica. Like you can't go there. They'll shoot you.
Yeah. So I've heard of people. I don't know if it's immediately they just execute you. From what I've heard, they're like, leave. Get off, because you can't privately make your way to Antarctica, because there's some weird treaty with Antarctica. It's called I forget the word for it. Essentially, no nation can place ownership over it, or
it's all scientific research.
Place effect. Yeah, it's all scientific research,
which is the reason that implies there's no law there technically. So I think they're going to have a hard time arresting me under any real powers. Maybe maritime law. Does maritime?
I don't
law
think
apply?
it's illegal. I think it's a very gray area. They're just like, get out, essentially.
They consider me a pirate if I like grabbed my my retarded Malamute and started sledding deep into the Antarctic center.
You wouldn't be sledding deep.
Look, he's a big boy, goddammit.
He is strong. He has the power of 3 normal dogs.
He has 3 dog power.
No loud noises, though.
So the conspiracy around Antarctica begins with World War II. There was a German research base in Antarctica called Camp something, rather, I forget, but some number designation. Anyway, after the war was over in 1947, they sent a admiral by the name of Admiral Byrd to Antarctica in something called Operation High Jump, where he was sent with, I think, 20 men total to just like reconnoiter, investigate whatever the Germans were doing down there, to check out their facilities. And whenever they got back, they were all given a gag order and the Medal of Honor. And that's it. So
they were all given a gag order and the medal. All of them were given the Medal of Honor.
They were placed on like a 48-hour debrief, if I recall correctly. They were ordered to never speak about what they found, which that part's probably pretty standard to most military reconnoiter operations.
I think you did. I think they stopped Hitler from being able to acquire alien technology down there, and they brought it home.
Now we're on the right path.
I don't think Hitler.
I think Hitler was down there. My favorite conspiracy theory, the one that I crave to be real, is the ancient civilizations one. The one, and when they lay out the timeline of the Earth's life, you're like, oh shit, this one does kind of make a bit of sense, right?
Like Atlantis, because they're like, yeah.
We've only been here for such a short period of time, like our civilization, like the last 6,000 years that we've actually recorded and can remember more or less. And the planet's been habitable, and we've been humans like we are for a very long time. Like we could have easily peaked and like been like pyramid building and then lost that and then 50,000 years went by. We resorted back to like hunter gathering, people who don't even understand agriculture, and then we could have done it 3 or 4 times in the amount of time there's just no evidence for it, right? And so that's when you got to look to places like maybe Antarctica, maybe like wasn't that a tropical place a long time ago, probably predating humans, but I know at some point it was like maybe close to where Australia is.
Over like enough millions of years, all that shit's cyclical, right? With like, because
you had Pangea or something, right, where everything was one giant megacontinent and then it broke up. But for a long time, I think Antarctica was more of a tropical thing, like in the Australia area ish.
If there was something that like changed in elevation, we would have found that under the seas by now, or no? Because I guess that we really haven't been.
I don't think
We
we've
haven't
charted the
explored
seas
everything.
very well.
What do you mean by change in elevation? Like if there was
Like if it was like, oh, there was this that's the only one I know, so I keep saying Atlantis. Oh, it used to be here, and then water levels changed a million years ago, and now
So
it's
that-
deep under the sea or something.
that's actually fairly common. Not just in like ancient civilizations, like the Greek city of man, I know all this stuff until I'm asked about it. There was a Greek city near the coast that was like this sprawling landscape that was flooded in, I forget when. That's supposedly the inspiration for stories of Atlantis. There's also one off the coast of what's the country that gets hit by tsunamis all the time? It's not Japan, Southeast Asia.
Indonesia?
I think Indonesia. There was a city that was built in like the 1300s that had gone completely underwater. And what was wild is a couple years ago when they got hit with their last tsunami, this place has been underwater for hundreds of years. When the water drew back before the wave, for the first time, the entire city, like this underwater city with these statues and buildings, the footage of it's wild.
That's really cool.
The people who
fascinated by
took the
that.
footage were having a terrible time.
I really like the idea of ancient forgotten technologies that might differ
That's
from
cool.
ours greatly enough that they would be cool and interesting and maybe something could be discoverable. I think that Baghdad battery shit is bullshit. I don't give a goddamn. It's just, it was probably a sex toy. They were putting that thing on somebody's clit to like.
I don't know what
yeah.
that is. Your
They found these like primitive like makeshift batteries. It's like a clay pot with I think you got like an acidic solution and maybe a copper tube or something like that, and maybe there's another metal that's involved. But in any case, it could form an ancient battery. You can make an electrical charge. And but they're not powering laptops back then with that thing. They're fucking like sticking their dicks in it because it feels weird.
they're shocking each other for fun.
Yeah, I that's probably like I could imagine a religious ritual where they use science to like reinforce religion the way that remember in what's that awesome Mel Gibson movie the Apocalypto when they know the eclipse is coming and the priest kind of looks over at the head honcho like, yeah, it's coming. And by priest, he's like he's an astronomer like from 1,000 years ago, and he's just like, here it comes. And so the king is like, bah, 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 the sun disappears, and they're like, holy shit, the boss made this. And then he's like, and come back. Like as soon as the priest gives him the go ahead nod for that, and it's like, you can imagine how you're gonna get in line for a man who does something like that, like a guy who can make the sun like disappear and come back.
Mhm.
If like. That's magic. Someone knowing that the sun is going, they wouldn't even think of it that way. They'd never take that extra leap, like, because how could you know it was coming, right? Unless you understood astronomy.
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot.
So
I like the idea of lost civilizations and that stuff just being eaten by the
ravages of time.
Well, yeah, the way the Earth's crust goes under itself and just gets eaten over and over until there's no, it's just gone. It's gone.
It is wild to think about like buried cities. Like we build civilization on top of civilization, and think of like everything that's sunk underneath. Concepts of sunken cities from like old lore, not like in the ocean, like the land gave way and there's these underground caverns.
Well, there's that thing in
stuff.
Have you seen the thing, the Graham Hancock stuff about the Göbekli Tepe place in Turkey?
I've heard of it, and it's supposed to be like a super old civilization, or some people theorize that.
Yeah, that Graham Hancock guy, he's been on Rogan a bunch of times. I read his books; they're good. But he thinks that a comet came and melted flash melted a huge ice cap and flooded out this ancient civilization that existed like 10 or 20,000 years ago in Turkey. And they found this huge structure that was built there, and people should have been like hunter gatherers with stone tools back then, and instead you would have had to have like a civilization because somebody's got to be hunting and gathering to get extra food so that you can have artisans who could even make something, like that. And supposedly we weren't doing
need
that
agriculture.
So that's an interesting one. I don't know. I like that stuff a lot. I like lost mysteries. And the other one I really like is the idea of life being on one of the moons of Saturn or Jupiter, maybe like under the ice.
What's the one everyone says is super habitable?
Titan, maybe?
I think Titan.
Europa.
That sounds right.
There's a movie about Europa.
Or
Yeah.
what is it called? Is that?
I think
Jupiter
it's
or something? Titan.
I think Titan's the one everyone says that like it's almost habitable.
I don't want to live on any of them.
And no. It's a couple kilometers of ice at least, and then but then you've got a warm.
Yeah, that's
ocean.
habitable.
But you've got a warm ocean down
Briefly.
Yeah.
And I think
Anything's habitable for small amounts of time.
Very briefly.
I think that like the most ambitious scientists think that there's probably like some amoebas or some like bacteria down there that feeds off of thermal activity. But
Nah,
I really want
ocean
there to be
monsters.
I don't
I
give a
want
shit
there
about
to be
that.
like mermaids.
I need something with
Yeah.
hands for me to really care. Like
and
something that made tools.
If I get there and the fish has hands, I'm going back.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
Well, that would just confirm it's like, oh, so somebody had a nuclear apocalypse here a long time ago. And now all the fish are peeling their kelp at the bottom of the sea or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything they would do with hands. Seems like a bad idea. But
I've been looking at a bunch of like weird sci-fi. I wanted a new sci-fi book, so I've been watching YouTube videos about various like sci-fi authors. And it might be an Isaac Asimov. I don't know who wrote this one, but the premise is that aliens come to Earth and they just sort of like hover over us, and we do try to attack them, but it like bounces off, and they're like, "Chill, listen, we're here to help. Our bosses sent us here to get you guys up to speed. You're gonna join the Galactic Federation. Can't look at us though. We're rough looking. Okay, we're gonna hang out here for a while. When you get used to us, our ships and then communicating with us, then we'll reveal ourselves." And that goes on for like many years, like 10, 20, I don't know how many, like call it 10, 15 years. And sure enough, they've really enriched humanity lately. Technology's better, culture's better, everything's better. And they're like, all right, it's time. Chill though, right? And they like step out of their craft and they literally look like the devil. They literally look like the devil, like horns and pointy tails and like pointy teeth and claws. But there's no twist at the end. They're just nice. They really are these like ambivalent, nice people. They're like, don't be scared. We know that a lot of people get scared of us and all. I'm Mark.
This is my husband Alan, and it's like, oh, they're progressive. Like,
I've been looking for a new one to read. It's that or Helldivers. I kind of want to go back to the Helldivers series
What's
and finish
Helldivers?
that. Oh, that's the one where
the average life is 10 jumps, and this guy's on jump 95, and he's hard ass. I remember.
Yeah,
that.
the Earth's all poisoned, and we live in the sky on a hover ship. Those books are fun.
I want to read a book about Antarctica. I don't care if it is 100% whole cloth made up. Like I just like it's a fun story. Yeah, just start off with something kind of fun where it's like the Nazis left, and then just make it up.
Yep.
Just
have a good time. That's all that matters.
That's what matters in all these theories, that you're having a fun time.
Exactly. The funnest part about it is there was a second Operation High Jump, if I remember, like in the 60s or the 70s, when a group supposedly went to Antarctica. One of the funnest theories is that they took cameras there and had like this broken footage of like plant life they discovered and like a civilization of people under the ice. Love it. Fantastic. I believe it. Don't need any further information.
I want to believe
all
it.
living under the ice.
100%.
Because our existence is a little boring at times, right? Like, like the stuff that happens in movies is so dynamic and big and earth changing, and nothing really big has ever happened in our lifetime. It's not really like even to us, it doesn't feel real, But I want something that's so big that even if you're not touched by it, it feels big. Like I want to discover some aliens. Or do a thing, right?
Seems like it'd have to be aliens, right? Like what else could it be?
I do want, or one of those lost civilizations. I want to find some mole people under Antarctica, and they've been under there for like 80,000 years, and their technology is way better than ours,
or way worse. I'm fine with that.
But they're mole people, so we just beat the fuck out of them.
I can't wait to kill it. Yeah.
Or aliens show up and they're like pedaling. And we're like,
some cool stuff has happened in my lifetime. The internet comes to mind. And another thing I think is neat is like voice to text and translation.